This is American Real, where we aim to inspire, empower, and enlighten you through the stories of our guests. Here's your host, Roger Brooks.
So what does a career look like for a dancer? I mean, is it similar to sports where you have a pretty narrow window of opportunity?
I'm a firm believer that you can no longer look at yourself as a dancer. You have to look at yourself as an entrepreneur, because there are a million different ways that you can use your skill sets to make money, to live a life that's fulfilling. There's another way I can differentiate myself in the marketplace as a speaker and still be able to do what I love to do, take another strength that I have, which is communicating with other people and sharing my story, combine it with dance. That put me on stages on 4 different continents.
Let me guess, you're an entrepreneur looking for ways to grow your business online. And you've probably tried everything to grow your business, including social media, SEO, even paid ads, only to find out that nothing truly works. So what if I told you that writing a book that goes on to become a bestseller is the magic wand, and that you can do it in as little as 30 days, 2 weeks, or even over a weekend in some cases, without spending more than 10 minutes a day? Would you be interested? My name is Roger Brooks, and I'm the founder and host of American Real TV, where I interview world-class guests to empower others through the essence of story. But I didn't get here overnight, and my mission certainly doesn't end here. Ever since I was a little boy, it's been my dream to empower others through the craft of writing and storytelling. And throughout my life, I came across several mentors who pushed me toward my passion for writing books and helping others to do the same. There is no greater joy than to be working with aspiring authors and to help them establish true credibility within their industry by writing and publishing their first book, which I'm proud to say have all gone on to become bestsellers. Now, you're seeing this video because I just opened enrollment for my new book writing program, where I promise to take you from page 1 to published in 90 days or less. I will be personally working with you to overcome the same fears and obstacles that kept me from pursuing my dreams all of those years. Simply click on the link below to see how I could help you become a first-time best-selling author. I look forward to seeing you on the inside.
This is American Real. I am Roger Brooks. My guest today is Jesse Paul Smith. You are a speaker, entertainer, coach, and podcast host. Jesse, welcome to the show.
Man, thanks for having me. This is awesome.
It's great. And look, sometimes out of the blue, episodes happen when you least expect it. And this is one of them. I received a call from a very close friend that you were in town, and we had the opportunity to have you on the show, and I'm so honored to have you here today.
Yeah, man, this is exciting. This was unexpected, but a very good unexpected surprise. So
great. So let's talk about first. What do you think of the area? Have you been to upstate New York before? What's your interpretation of upstate?
You know, it's kind of interesting because as we were driving around, it kind of brings me back a little bit to Wisconsin. Honestly, like it reminds me a lot of where I'm from, and the architecture of the homes very similar. Just the landscape is beautiful. So, and I think I came during the right season because it's nice and warm that I like, and so it's been a great experience. I've loved it so far.
That's great. And I know you were out in LA for a while, and you're now living in Wisconsin?
Yeah, I live back in Wisconsin. Yep.
So tell us about your stint in LA.
Yeah, so LA was a great experience for me. I got dancing late in life. I didn't start dancing until about 20 years old. But once I started, it was like love at first sight. Like I got introduced, honestly. I had stopped doing martial arts and I knew I needed a new outlet. And I went with some friends to a club where I'm from, and dancing's not really prevalent where I'm from. There wasn't a huge dance community, there wasn't a huge dance scene, but these guys were doing this crip walk stuff, and I was like, what is this? And I immediately just walked over there and started observing them, watching them do these steps. And when I was doing martial art tournaments all over the country, I would see like some of the big martial artists that were represented by these big teams do all these breakdancing circles at these after parties, but I never learned the steps. So getting to have somebody that I actually lived near that would know how to do these things, I just fell in love with it. So I started watching music videos on Yahoo, back in the Yahoo dial-up days, and man, I kept my nose to the grindstone, and I had it out. I was going to dance, be a professional dancer, and literally 4 years later, I found myself, in LA, right on Lancashire there, looking at Millennium Dance Complex, and taking my first class, and got to be a professional dancer. I was represented by McDonald Selznick Associates. I did work with Justin Timberlake. I did work with Rihanna, and got to do a lot of work with the crews from the Step Up series that you've seen out. And it was great, man. I loved it. It was the first place that I actually went that I felt like people spoke my language. Wow. It was great.
Okay, so let's dive into this, because I don't know anything about that type of dancing or what's involved. So what is the, where do you start? Like, what is the amount of work that goes into, putting together some type of a 3-minute song, for example? Tell us about the ins and outs of that.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of work that's involved, and I think, where you start is what's available. And that was like, for me, is that I just needed a couple of steps that I could build on. Now, whether you go to, there's a couple ways that you can learn how to dance. You can learn how to dance by going to a dance studio, and I just didn't have the money to be able to do that. And so I literally watched these guys at a club, took a couple of their steps, and started just listening to music and kind of putting my own spin on the few little moves that I had. And those few little moves turned into more moves, and then you start watching other videos like I did, start watching other videos online or what have you, and you start taking that and you piece that together, and you learn your interpretation of that combination. But it's just like writing a song, writing a play, anything. There's thought that goes into it. There's, people think that, you sit down and you hear a song and all of a sudden this beautiful combination comes out. I mean, you can freestyle for a while, but to put together like a 3-minute song, first of all, you have to be in great shape to dance straight for 3 minutes, right? But it's just like anything else. It takes a lot of hard work. It takes a lot of focus. It takes a lot of trial and error. And I think one of the biggest things that dance has taught me is it also takes you getting to understand yourself, because you have to understand how to listen to your body, how to move with your body, and to be able to push yourself beyond your comfort zone, but also be intuitive enough to understand your style and your voice through your own movement.
Wow. Did you feel that you had some natural ability from the beginning? Because it sounds like if you picked it up that late in life, that you must have been pretty good at this.
I mean, I think I had, what one really helped me is I've been in music since I was 3. And so drumming was one of my instruments. And so rhythm has always been kind of something that is always captivated me. And dance just fit right into that. And then along with me doing martial arts for, 6 years prior to even getting on the dance floor, I was already somewhat familiar with my body. I knew how it moved. I knew, I was familiar with, just even my own flexibility, those kinds of things. So I think that definitely set me up for success there.
And when you talk about professional dancing, again, take us into that world. What's involved with getting picked up, by an entity? I mean, I would think that it's not that easy to get some type of a contract like that.
Well, and here's the thing is that, back in 2005 and 2006 when I got picked up, so I got picked up in 2005 by McDonald Selznick Associates. I went to an audition. Those types of things, the landscape has changed so much. And just like anything else with music, with any kind of media, the noise is so loud. There is so many people posting videos and doing different things. What it takes, honestly, is for you to show that you have something that nobody else has. So I think the biggest thing that people that struggle, that try to get noticed right now, is they're trying to be like everybody else. And I'm a huge advocate for authenticity. We've all been given a design, and we don't understand so often that we see somebody that's successful, whatever field it is. It could be a doctor, it could be a lawyer, it doesn't matter. We see somebody that's successful and we say, okay, they did it this way, they look like this, they dress like this, they talk like this, they move like this, so that means I need to act like this. And the problem is that you become a replica. Nobody's looking for that. I love the saying by Oscar Wilde. He says, be yourself, everyone else is already taken. And so I think being able to understand that you first need to find your voice, and when you find your voice, just keep shouting that from the rooftops as loud as you possibly can, because somebody's looking for somebody just like you to stand out, and that's what'll get you noticed.
Well, Jesse, I mean, everything you just said right now, that's what we talk about on this show. And it's great, that you're bringing that from a whole different perspective and coming from the dance world. So it really doesn't matter what industry you're in. It doesn't matter what you do. If you're authentic, that's the key, right? That's the key to standing out and to getting that opportunity. So what was it about you? Because I'm sure the listeners and watchers are curious like I am. What did you do different that made you stand out?
So when I I did this wrong so many different times, and I just found a way to do it right a couple of times. And in my certain scenario, I went to this audition down in Florida. It was called Fashion Rock. It was put on by a guy by the name of Lou Pearlman. He started the Backstreet Boys and NSYNC. And so he put on these huge auditions down in Florida at the World Marriott Center in Orlando, Florida. And I went down there, and there was 1,500 dancers that were down there. And I put it in me that I just needed to make sure that I was seen. And I didn't care if, I was definitely myself. At this point, I had been dancing now for 4 years, and one of the things that I was strongest in was freestyling. Like, I didn't need somebody to teach me choreography. If I heard a beat, I was gonna be able to figure out something for it, because how I learned how to dance was either watching music videos and going to the clubs and freestyling, or when the clubs weren't open, I literally went to the Walmart in my hometown from 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. and I listened to the radio, and I stand back in their cosmetics section because they had nice floors, and the manager knew I wasn't gonna get in anybody's way. And so all I knew to do was freestyle. I didn't put combinations together. I just let my body move. So when I went to this audition, there was music going on all the time. I didn't care if somebody was singing in the room next to me that was doing an audition. I was dancing to whatever they were singing to. I wanted everybody, if they were a contestant, if they were a possible judge, I wanted everybody with a badge to know who I was. And so I made sure I talked to everybody. I made sure that if there was any kind of dance circle going around, I knew that it was going to draw attention, so I made sure I went there. I just did whatever I possibly could to make people see me and see how bad I wanted it.
And there's something for that too, as far as being your own advocate, being, you have to put in the work, but you also have to be willing to put yourself out there.
Man, and that's so important. I travel around and I speak. I've literally been able to have the privilege to speak all over the world, and I spoke to over 100,000 people, just in the youth circuit alone. And when people hear who I've worked for, that I had a record deal or all these different things, they'll come to me and say, "Can you help me do this? Can you help me get a record deal? Can you help me, get signed as a dancer?" And I ask them, "What are you doing right now to get signed? What are you doing right now to get noticed?" "Well, I don't know. I'm just kind of, practicing in my room." "Okay, well, when was the last time you did a show? What did you, if you play guitar and sing, like when was the last time you put on a concert?" "Well, I haven't done that yet." "Okay, so what are you doing to get seen?" "Well, I'm just kind of waiting for an opportunity." You have to make your own opportunity. You have to put yourself out there to a degree before somebody's going to believe in you. You have to believe in yourself enough to at least, take the first step. And I think that's one of the biggest things. We've got people with some of the most brilliant ideas, some of the most, brilliant talent, and they're sitting in their room waiting for an opportunity when they could go make one.
Yeah, it's, I had the chance to sit down with Ed Milet, who's out from LA, and, he talks about that a lot. Like, you have to take action. You have to take ownership. You can't just sit back and wait for that phone call. You have to put in the work. You have to put in the reps.
Yep.
Whatever you want to call it.
Yep.
And it's like this with anything in life. If you want to get in better shape, if you want to write a book, if you want to become a dancer, it doesn't matter. You have to put in the effort. And it's funny you say that because I could relate. From time to time, I'll connect with some people that are podcasters, and they'll say, "Hey, I saw you had so and so on the show. Can you introduce me to him?"
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of how it's not how it works, right? I mean, it's a lot of work and effort to get to that person. So I'm glad that you're able to send that message here, as well as to our youth, because I think that's where we need to get to them, is at the youngest possible age, where they learn that they have to put in. And some people just don't know because they've never been told. So it's great that you have that message.
Yeah. It's I think one of the biggest advantages that I had at a young age is I had somebody that encouraged me to take my first step. Like, I had a support system with my family. Not everybody has that, but I did have somebody at a young age that taught me, listen, you can't sit down and wait for the world to come to you. You have to go grab the world yourself. And I honestly think that there's just so many people. We live in a society that's everything is so easy. You just got to pull up your phone and everything's right there. So we're not taught that you have to go out and get it. We're taught that it'll just kind of come to you. Just push your notifications and it'll let you know when it's ready. And that's just not how dreams happen. It's not how the big success happens that everybody wants so badly. You just have to get out there and get it.
Yeah. How much work did you put in on your own, all these nights at Walmart, everything else, before you had your first break?
Well, so I would say from the age of 20 to the age of 25, I probably practiced, no joke, 20, 30 hours a week, every single chance I got. And that's not just counting when I was dancing up and down the grocery store aisle. Like, I was always dancing, always watching, always building, always networking. That whole concept of the 10,000 hours, that's where I was going with that. That's really what it was. It was every day, and here's the other thing that I think is so important. So many people, they're like, well, I'll put that many hours in when I see that it's worth it. You don't know it's worth it until you put in that time. You might not see the fruit from that labor. I love the story that Les Brown tells about the bamboo tree. Everybody wants the bamboo tree success story when the bamboo shoot breaks ground, because it grows up to 90 feet in 6 weeks. Everybody wants that overnight success story. But what nobody's talking about is the 5 years prior to that, right? You have to water, nurture, and take care of that bamboo tree for 5 years before it breaks ground. And if you don't take care of it, all that work, you could go up to 4 years and 6 months, and if you stop taking care of it, guess what? The bamboo tree's gone. And I think so many people stop at 4 years and 6 months because they haven't broken ground yet, because they've interpreted that as, well, it's not going to happen.
Yeah. No, this is really important conversation, and it seems the good news is the more people I talk to, like these conversations, the more people are beginning to understand this and passing this knowledge to others.
Yeah.
Because that, at the end of the day, isn't that why we're here? Aren't we here to help others?
That's why it's exactly why we are here. I tell this to my team. I said, we can't build anything that is going to have longevity and an impact the way that it's supposed to without a team, without people. We weren't we're not created to walk this life alone. I don't care how talented you are. I don't care how big you are. I don't care how much money you have. You're never going to get to where you ultimately could get with a team if you try to do it by yourself. You just can't.
Yeah, and think about it. Even the most, secluded careers that are out there, whether you're an artist or if you write books, that's just one piece of it.
Yep.
You need that team, whether it's your dealer or whether it's your publisher or the marketing agent. You need those people as well for it to all work together.
Yeah. I mean, I think about this all the time because I remember being backstage at a concert, and the manager was talking about his team and saying, "Hey, listen, these guys are superstars. They're getting all the recognition, but their concert's going to really suck if they don't have the audio technicians there." And it just made me realize, like, no matter who's the one that's in front of the camera, there's a million people behind that one person that makes them sing, be, appear, as famous as they really are.
And Jesse, isn't it the ones that really appreciate every single part of that seem to rise above the rest?
Yeah, I mean, everybody hears stories all the time with people that come to this conclusion that they are it. Yeah. And when they think that they don't need anybody, all of a sudden you don't hear their name anymore, right? Because nobody wants to stand behind them. Nobody wants to support them. Nobody wants to see them go any further. And I think that's one of the things that I'm super appreciative of. Again, my upbringing is my dad just always taught me that it doesn't matter if they're the janitor or they are the superstar that everybody is going to the concert to see. Everybody is just as valuable. And I think that's the big thing too that I think we need as a society need to remember more than anything is that people are valuable for who they are, not what they do. Yeah. And when we can come to that understanding, we don't treat people differently because of their job or, because that person has money or because, I'll be good to you because your career has made it. This guy is still trying to make it, so I'm going to come over here and treat you differently. We're all the same. We're all human beings, and that's what brings us value.
Yeah, it reminds me of the Michael Jordan documentary that was recently released. I don't know if you watched it.
I haven't had a chance to yet, no.
But, what was really neat about that is it showed a lot of behind the scenes of what was happening during that time. And, he was the fiercest competitor of all times. But, he knew every single person on his team, the coaching staff, the security. You saw all that in this documentary. So it really brought to life for me, because I lived through that era, what support he really had to allow him to do his thing on the floor. So it's everywhere. The team concept is everywhere. Okay, so let's a few more questions about the dancing, and then we'll move on to some of these other interesting things that you're doing today. Okay, so Justin Timberlake, Rihanna, what happens? How do you get to that level between, getting signed and then being, how do you get selected for something like that?
Yeah, so it's just like, it's auditions. And that's, I think the big thing that was a wake-up call for me is I thought, I'm signed. It's gravy, baby, here we go. And I got out to LA with very little money. I moved in, I took my black Cadillac Eldorado out to California, found an apartment when I was out there. I got introduced to a dancer by my agency, and that's really it. It was like, here you go. And their job as an agent was just to call you for auditions. That didn't mean that you had any guaranteed income. It didn't mean you had anything. It just meant, okay, now we'll give you the inside scoop of when auditions are so you can go. I went to 100 auditions. Not 1, not 10, not 20, not 30, not 60, not 80. I went to 100 auditions before I got my first yes. So here I am thinking I am somebody because I get signed. I walk in all arrogant like, who's this kid that doesn't have any dance studio experience? I learned from watching music videos on Yahoo. I got signed. I'm out here. We're about to take over LA. I walk into my first class and I realize, oh, I was a medium fish in a really tiny pond. And now I'm a minnow in an ocean because the talent was insane when I walked in. And so quickly I realized, you got some work to do, bro. Like you think that all your practicing has led you to this level where you're untouchable. No, you're still cleaning shoes. You need to get up and get to work. So that's what I did. Is I would dance. I'd go to audition. I'd hear a no. I mean, there was for 30 days I lived on ramen noodles and water because that's all I had to eat. We were dancing in front of the Man's Chinese Theater just to get tip money so I could pay rent. Like it was, you know, survival of the fittest. But you had to believe that what you were out doing, what you were out there to do, was meant for you to do. And I remember literally there was a music video that was my favorite music video at the time. It was when Justin Timberlake came out with Like I Love You. And I would watch that music video over and over and over today. It's still one of my favorite songs today to like dance to. I just love the beat. And every once in a while, if I go to a club or somewhere where people know me, they'll put that song on. But I would literally lay in my bed and I would vision myself dancing next to Justin Timberlake with the black leather jacket. And when I would go home, sometimes from hearing another no, and I mean, I would have so many second guesses, and I would talk to my friends out there, and I'm like, I just don't know if I'm gonna make it. You know, I just remember laying on my pillow and thinking, all right, you got to put yourself there. And so I would just envision myself, listen, you are going to dance next to Justin Timberlake, you know. And so that's what I did. And, you know, it took me forever. But I finally got to do a commercial with him. I wasn't doing like a big tour with him or anything like that, but I got to accomplish what I set out there to do.
Wow, the power of the mind, right?
Mm-hmm.
Take us back to that time when you received the phone call or however you were notified. What was that moment like?
It was emotional for me because I'm an emotional guy. I joke that I'm a female trapped in a man's body because I cry all the time. But it was just overwhelming. I stood there for a second and I remember hanging up my phone and thinking, did that just really happen? Like, that's really, I did it. Like, I remember calling my mom and I was like, I did it. I did it. And it didn't hit me until I called her that it's like, oh my gosh, I did it. And I remember just like breaking down with her on the phone and just crying because I was like, I didn't make a mistake. Like I didn't miss my mark. And so that was a really rewarding moment for me.
I bet all that hard work coming to fruition.
Yeah.
That's great. What about Rihanna?
So that was another cool thing. We did a Nike promotional for her for a SOS music video. So a bunch of Madonna's dancers and you know, a few other of us got on set, and this was, you know, she was still pretty new to the scene. Her mom was on set with her. Got to talk with her and stuff like that. That was just really cool. It was you know, and it was kind of interesting because these things started kind of happening, you know, one right after another, and it was right after that I got to do like commercial work with Channing Tatum and the whole Step Up crew. We were doing MySpace commercials for Step Up, and so got to hang out with, you know, Sierra and Mario and all those guys, and so that, you know, that was a lot of fun too. But it also helped me put things into perspective, that they were human beings. They're no different than you and I. I mean, yes, they're crazy, incredibly talented, but they bleed just like us. They have problems just like us. They have, you know, they have to breathe in and out. They have to put their pant leg on one leg at a time. You know, it's just, they're just like you and I. And I think that was also helpful for me to realize that, like, if they, being human beings, have the ability to do this, so do I.
That's That's so cool. So if there's young kids listening or parents who have kids that love dancing, what advice would you give them, knowing what you know now, on how to approach that world? Because as you said, it's changed a lot.
Yeah, I think the big thing is, first of all, just encourage them. I think that's the biggest thing that any dreamer needs is encouragement, right? And encouragement to be themselves, and not try to be like anybody else. And I think that was, again, a big mistake that I made, is I was always trying to emulate other people.
What did you want to emulate? Can you tell us?
I mean, there was this movie that came out called You Got Served, and I used to watch that movie over and over again. That came out in about 2003, and so the guy that I always wanted to dance like was Omarion. He was incredible, and so it was him and Marcus Houston that were like some of my biggest dance aspirations or inspirations. And so I would try to dance and mimic and do the stuff that they would, which, their style was super chill, was super smooth. But again, I had to realize that I'm not them. I remember even going into audition one time, and I was trying to be like and act like Justin Timberlake, as a matter of fact, at this audition. And somebody said, listen, if I wanted a Justin Timberlake, I'd have called him. And I was like, oh, okay. He's like, man, you need to stop trying so hard to be who you think we're looking for. You need to be you. And that was a big wake-up call for me. So I think that's one of the things, is that, encourage your kids to be themselves, right? And not be afraid to make mistakes. Just get out there and fail as fast and as many times as you possibly can, and then you help them learn from those mistakes.
So what does a career look like for a dancer? I mean, is it similar to sports, where you have a pretty narrow window of opportunity? And when was a point where you said, okay, I can't do this anymore, I'm going to move on to something else?
That's interesting. So I had a really short career in LA, because I came home in 2006. So once you get booked, there's this fictitious assumption that once you get booked, now everything's gravy, baby, and you're fighting every day for the next job. And that was one of the things that I learned, is that at no point do you make it, because media, the entertainment business is so fickle. What's hot tomorrow is not going to be hot the next day. It literally can change just like that. And so, that's the other thing, is that people need to realize that I'm a firm believer that you can no longer look at yourself as a dancer. You have to look at yourself as an entrepreneur, because there are a million different ways that you can use your skill sets to make money, to live a life that's fulfilling. But if your perspective is the only way that I can make it as a dancer is if I'm doing commercial work or I'm doing tours with big artists, you're cutting yourself off the knees. And even my new project that I'm working on now, Worldwide Dance Challenge, I'm not even dancing. My passion for dance is what brought this thing to life. And I think that, if you want to make it, you want to understand what other strengths do you have besides dancing that you can combine, and where is the biggest problem that your skill set can solve. I just had a conversation on my podcast with Steve Sims, and we were talking about the difference between sales and solving problems. And and it's so true. If you can get really clear on what problem your skill sets can solve, you'd be amazed at how many ways you can use it. In 2006, when I came home, I thought I was done. It wasn't until somebody gave me a call and said, hey, listen, we got a group of students here. We would love to have you come and share your story. They'd heard that I had been out to LA. They had seen me, on MTV and everything else like that. And so they said, we want you to come and talk to our students. This is an Upward Bound program. Could you come and share your story? I was back in Superior. I thought my dancing as a professional dancer was done. And it wasn't until I said, sure, I'll go and do that. We didn't talk money. We didn't talk nothing. I went there. They said, would you teach them to dance for like 45 minutes and then, or like a half hour, and then, talk to them for like 45 minutes. So that's exactly what I did. I didn't plan anything. I just went in there and had fun with them. And after that, I had a girl come here and tell me, she says, I just want to tell you, your story changed my life. She goes, I honestly wasn't sure if I was going to come to class tomorrow. I was thinking about committing suicide. And she goes, hearing you talk about your struggles and your battles with depression and anxiety going through this process, like, you showed me that there's hope. And I was like, oh man, I can dance. I can inspire somebody. This is super cool. And when I walked out of the room, the lady that hired me shook my hand and said, thank you. She handed me an envelope. And I was like, what's this? And she goes, well, this is just, for you coming. I said, okay, great, thank you. I thought there was a thank you note in there or something. I get to my car and I open the envelope and there's a $250 check in there. And I thought, there's another way I can differentiate myself in the marketplace as a speaker and still be able to do what I love to do, take another strength that I have, which is communicating with other people and sharing my story, combine it with dance. That put me on stages on 4 different continents.
Amazing. Which leads me into my next kind of topic, and that's our tagline at American Real is everyone has a story. So we're all about sharing stories, and I know storytelling is important to you. I'd love to learn a little bit about your tattoos because I know they have a lot of meaning.
Yeah.
You mentioned off camera that you try to get a tattoo when you travel. So
yeah.
I've never heard anything like that. Can you talk about your storytelling, why that's important, the tattoos and the meaning behind it?
Yeah, I think, for me, it was funny because my dad and I will joke about this now. When I was growing up, we had 3 rules. There was 3 no's. No ponytails, no earrings, no tattoos. I've never had a ponytail, but earrings and tattoos are definitely something I broke the rules on. But I remember what my dad would always talk about is how many people would get tattoos and they'd regret it, right? And I the first tattoo that I ever got was on my back, and it's a tattoo that says B-Boys underneath it, and there's a guy that's doing like a baby freeze on it, and it's like a cartoon character. But I remember somebody telling me, don't ever get one, because once you get one, you'll never stop, and you'll start thinking about your second one while they're still finishing your first. They're 100% right. And so, but I knew that if I was going to do that I wanted it to mean something. So it wasn't going to be something in 30 years from now that I looked at it and said, ooh, I wish I didn't do that. And so, I started to wonder, like, if I'm going to tell a story, what does that mean? And where can I do that? And so you always hear this expression, you want to wear your heart on your sleeve. And I'm a guy that definitely wears my heart on my sleeve. And I was like, well, I also believe in transparency. I want to put my story on my sleeve. And so that's how this started to kind of come about. And, I'm a big faith guy. God has been a big part of who I am. It's how I grew up. It's a big staple for my belief system, how I make my decisions. And so this whole arm right here is my faith journey, what God, Jesus Christ, means to me and my journey with Him as I've gone here. My first tattoos on my arms says God Chaser. And so, it's kind of like the whole faith journey here. But I saw this picture on Facebook, funny enough, when I was scrolling, and it was all these different animals that were on top of each other. And it says, whatever animal you see first is kind of like your spirit animal, right? Well, I have had a weird obsession with wolves. I don't know why, but I've always had these weird obsession with wolves. And all of a sudden this wolf jumps out at me, and I'm like, that's crazy. So I looked up what it meant, and what it meant was you love to run in packs, but you'll definitely go your own way. And so with God, I have definitely wanted to go the ways He's wanted me to go, but I've definitely pulled my own path. And so I thought it was really fitting to have it start with me and end with him.
Awesome. Now, do you share this when you're at the schools or when you're talking to kids?
When I'm talking to people, people will ask me about my tattoos a lot, you know, and and I let them know what it's all about. And of course, this arm is just the whole music and dancing side of me. And so I have everything planned out. They'll meet and collide in the chest. But I also, because I travel so much, I wanted to say, okay, I want it to also be somewhere where I went and it reminded me of where I was when I did it. So my hand, is done. I got it done when I was speaking at a John Maxwell team conference in Romania. And that was a significant part of my life right there. There was some big transitionings going on. And so all these things help me tell a story, and it just gives me a visual to be able to do that when I'm talking to people.
Wow. So let's talk about your speaking.
Yeah.
Obviously, the world has changed drastically. What does that mean for you? What does that mean for your business? And I also want to talk about this new project you're doing with the dance-off.
Yeah, nobody really knows what it means as far as like what it looks like. But what I do know is that people need encouragement no matter where you're at. People need inspiration no matter where you're at. And we're in a day and a time right now where you can create your own stage. And that's what, people are asking me to get on podcasts. Obviously, I have my own podcast, and that's a stage in and of itself. And so, I'm constantly going on different live interviews with people. I'm constantly, doing podcasts. Virtual events right now is kind of the thing right now until this whole, we all know what this whole thing's going to look like. But, speaking on stage or speaking, telling your story is, in my opinion, absolutely crucial to anybody in their business. I don't care if you're a CEO of a tech company. I don't care if you're a dancer. People gravitate to stories. They'll follow your skill set, but they'll connect with your story. And so, that's really, when I look at speaking engagements, I don't look at it as, oh, this is my business, as I'm going to make money doing this. Although I do that, I always took the approach from what problem am I solving? And my problem that I'm solving is to help people realize, listen, you're valuable. That's my message. I do not care what you've done. I don't care what you can't do. I don't care what you don't look like. I don't care how many mistakes you made. Who you are is valuable, period. And that whole message of we are human beings, not human doings, so that's where our value comes from, is who we are, not what we do. If somebody will give me 5 minutes of their time or a stage to be able to yell that from the rooftops, that's what I'll do.
Man, that's really powerful. And I like the fact that you went into it with that mindset. You went to that first place before you got that $250 check, just doing it, right?
Yeah.
You weren't expecting anything. And then you kind of pieced it together like, okay, I think I could, I see where I could take this. And isn't that the best way opportunities like this can come to be?
Yeah, the thing of it is that, I think one of the hardest parts is we listen to a podcast or we hear somebody's story and we get the 60-minute boil down. So, it makes it look like everything was so easy and, oh, you just thought of this idea and all of a sudden you're a 7-figure business owner. It's not how it works. But I will tell you this, is that anytime I have started from, I think I can make money doing this, so I'm going to do it, it burns me out, I get bored, or something doesn't go right. Even if I have a blip of success with it. But whenever I come from I love doing this, I see how I can help somebody. Even if the runway takes longer, it's much more fulfilling. And I'll tell you this, is that I see more longevity in people that start projects that way than people that start with the money as the topical forefront. Usually the people that are really successful are the ones that start with passion and let that go.
Yeah. And it's hard, right? The fact I think initially it's hard to separate that, but once you get it,
it is.
then it's like, wow, I wish I knew this 10 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, even with the project with the Worldwide Dance Challenge was kind of like another light bulb moment for me, because I'd been doing this sales consulting thing because it was what I was good at, right? I had been teaching people sales because that's what everybody else said I was good at. And I loved helping people, yes. I don't enjoy walking around in a suit and acting like I'm this corporate-y guy. And there's nothing wrong with people that are in that environment. It just wasn't me. But I was constantly trying to be that. And I made really good money doing it. But eventually, it started eating at my soul. And it's funny because I would even teach this while I was in my sales gig. But sometimes you're so much in the picture that you can't see outside the frame. And it took me stepping back again. And this is why it's so important that you separate yourself. You take every 90 days or even every year, take, a week to just like step away from your life and reevaluate and reconnect with who you are and whose you are and all those kinds of things, because otherwise you get lost. And I got lost. And it wasn't until I started this new project that I reminded myself, oh, this is what it feels to be alive again. This is what it feels to build a movement, a business from passion and not from logic.
Wow. All right, so let's get into this. The Worldwide Dance Challenge. When did the spark come? And then how quick before you put it together? I saw some really cool videos and clips of, it in action, but take us back to the thought process and then how you implemented it.
Yeah, so COVID-19 happened, and again, obviously, everybody's life turned upside down in a matter of 3 days. I had 6 months worth of speaking engagements canceled in 3 days. I had 95% of my income wiped out because I was doing a lot of things like coaching and stuff like that, and businesses started freaking out. They're like, we don't know what to do. We got to put contracts on hold, all these different kinds of things. And I was already burnt out. I was already at that tipping point. I was battling a lot of anxiety, not knowing what to do. And finally I sat in my room one day and I said, okay, I need to detach from everything. And I really just had to ask myself, who do I want to serve? Who do I want to serve? And this was when that light bulb moment for me hit, because I'd always tried to justify me staying in my sales world because that's where the money is. I don't know how I'm going to make money as a dancer or with dancers. Dancers are broke, this kinds of things. Bad mentality, right? Just poor limiting beliefs. And so, but finally I had to ask myself, who do I want to serve? And I said, I can't help it. I want to serve dancers. It's what I want to serve. It's who I want to serve. So I started teaching dance lessons online because so many people had been asking me to teach dance, and I had stopped teaching dance for the last 5 years. And so I was like, okay, let's just do this thing. I'll do it online. And I started having a conversation with my now business partner. And I said, I think I'm going to teach dance lessons online, and here's some ideas. And he goes, this is what I've always wanted. He goes, I always thought it would be cool to have like a really dope online dance battle. And he goes, I'm just a fan of dance. He goes, I can't do anything more than the dad finger wag. So he goes, I can't dance, but I love watching it. And literally within 45 minutes, I said, Zach, it's so funny that you say that because I've been asking myself, who do I want to serve? And dancers are who I want to serve. When we talk about what problem can you solve, I knew that across the globe, all dance competitions had been shut down. And people had spent thousands, I'm not kidding you, thousands of dollars between competition fees, getting their competition pieces choreographed, private lessons, everything. And then in a matter of blink of an eye, all the competitions were shut down. I said, you know what? They're looking for something to do right now. And I'm a huge fan of World of Dance. I'm a huge fan of America's Got Talent, all those things. But, there's a lot of people that can't make it to those auditions to get there. And I thought, there's a lot of people that are looking for their next big break. They're looking for another opportunity to be able to be seen. What if I could eliminate all the barriers, financial, geographical, travel, all of that? And within 45 minutes, we came up with the Worldwide Dance Challenge that allows dancers from all across the globe, all different styles, to compete head-to-head online in front of a live audience, and the audience can participate. They can vote. And so we literally didn't know what we were going to do. We didn't know how we were going to do it. We started with a platform. I was one of the first competitors because we just had to have proof of concept, and I was so scared because I hadn't danced in so long. And so I was like, I called up a friend of mine. I said, hey, man, I got this idea. You want to do this? He goes, why not? Let's just do it. So we literally went on Zoom, which was a bad platform for what we were trying to do. We went on Zoom. We found a DJ that could help us out with this. We did our first one, and we learned a ton from that first episode. And ever since then, we have done 2 episodes a week. We've been able to do a ton of different tweaking on the tech. We've had dancers from 4 different continents. We've been streamed on 60 different countries. And this is with 3 months. Nobody in the entertainment business. We don't have anybody that's in TV or anything. We're just going at this full speed, learning a ton. Now we've got a ton of people that are interested in it, big name, big capital people that are like, listen, this is the next thing since American Idol. We've had dancers that have been booked. Literally, we had a dancer from our show that's from South Africa, got booked by 2 major music groups, and then also a lead dancer from a major recording artist hit him up and said, hey, I saw you on this show. All because of him being on the show, he got some really significant paying work out of it. So our show is already helping dancers all over the world.
Wow. So what's the reach right now at this point? How many people are you?
We're getting some videos that are getting, 50 to 60,000 views. Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So is all of your time spent on this right now?
Yeah, right now this is the Behemoth project, and we also birthed out of this the Worldwide Dance Academy, which what I did is I said we had dancers that were coming to me and saying, hey, that were competing on the show. They were some of our most followed dancers, and they're like, I just want to teach dance more. And I said, I got an audience that would like to learn dance from you. So what I've did is I take some of these dancers from our show that were some of our best dancers. I've put them on this platform, and now what we're doing is we're also helping gyms by giving them content that they can give to their members, because a couple of my clients were gyms that went through this COVID thing, and they were freaking out because they didn't have content to give to their people. They didn't know how to keep their members because their members couldn't go into their facility. So now what we do is we go and we help gym members be able to take this. We've got we've got Zumba, we've got yoga, we've got different dance styles from all over that teach live classes right on this platform. And so gym members can take that and give that to all their members and then be able to use it. Well, this platform birthed out of the Worldwide Dance Challenge. And so we've got those 2 major projects right now, and we've got documentaries that are being talked about the whole 9 yards. So it's been a lot of fun.
Wow, I could see it. I think you're onto something really incredible. And again, it's about serving.
100%.
That's where it started from, and then now all this momentum is happening. Yes, and if there's anything we could do to help promote it as well, we would love to do that. Yeah,
just if anybody's listening to this, they love dance, go check out worldwidedancechallenge.com, and you can see all of our episodes. And when they go live, click the vote button. Just let us know who you think brought it best.
Awesome. So just a couple more questions, Jesse, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Love talking with fellow podcasters. How did you get into it?
Oh man, so I've been a big podcast consumer for a long time, and honestly, my business partner has a podcast. And the interesting thing is this all goes back to surrendering to your design, surrendering to your authentic self. I wanted to do a podcast, but I knew I didn't want to talk about sales. And I never could think of an idea that would serve what I was doing as a whole. And as soon as the Worldwide Dance Challenge came into being, I said, I know exactly what I want to do. I want to help creatives, not just dancers, but singers, actors, musicians, designers, people that are creatives, help them see outside of the box. Don't think that, because I'm a designer, I've got to do this in order to make money. Because I'm a dancer, I need to dance for commercials or for artists in order to turn it into a career. There is a million ways that you can take your passion and turn it into profit. And that's what I wanted to do. And so as soon as the Worldwide Dance Challenge came to be, I said, finally, now I can do a podcast that is going to be in alignment with who I am and talk to people that I want to talk to. And so finally, I surrendered to the whole idea. My business partner said, listen, you do all of the fun part, and that's what he does for me. He's kind of my tactical ops guy. So I get to do all the vision creating, the conversations. He takes all of the nitty gritty stuff and tech stuff and make sure it gets taken care of. And so that's been my journey with it.
That's a great partnership, it sounds like. And it goes back to what you said earlier in the conversation, that you could have this talent, but you need that entrepreneurial side.
Yes.
To be able to, be creative with it and learn different ways to promote yourself. Yeah. And find things that's a fit. So that's awesome. How many episodes in are you?
So we're getting ready to launch July. I believe it's going to be July 7th. Excellent. So I've got I've done 6 or 7 interviews, and so I've got probably 2 more months worth of content in the books as far as interviews that we have coming in. So it's been a lot of fun connecting. And this already, podcasting is the best networking tool by far that you can ever have.
Yeah, 100%. Opens a lot of doors.
A lot
of
them.
Good for you. Congratulations on it. I can't wait to tune in and listen. Okay, so you're also a coach. How does that play into it? Are you still doing coaching?
Yeah, so I still, like I said, I help creatives turn their passion into profit. So I'm a big mindset guy. Part of the John Maxwell team, and have just dove headfirst into personal growth and development for the last 6 years, and so when I coach on mindset, the beauty of that is mindset is something you need no matter what avenue you go in. And I believe is, almost more valuable than skill set. So I do a lot of mindset coaching with clients as far as, I call myself more of a thinking partner than I do a coach. And it's not like, my coaching style is not, I'm going to tell you what to do. It's very much, here's the situation, let's talk through it, and we're gonna help you work through it, because I also believe that most people they underestimate how resourced they are. And we believe 7% of what someone else says, we believe 50% of what we read, but we believe 100% of what we say with our own mouth. So if you tell me to do something, 7% of that I'll maybe take to heart. But if you get me to say the exact same thing you wanted to tell me, I'm going to own that. And that's what I've learned in my coaching style is how do I draw out from the client what they need to do so that they can take ownership and take action.
Man, you're doing some really fun and worthwhile work, and I commend you. I mean,
appreciate
keep it going. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So if you were to take out your cell phone right now and call the 20-year-old Jesse, what would you tell him?
Relax. You got time, man. Gary Vee talks about it all the time. You could punt your 20s. We all are wanting this to happen tomorrow. If you could have your vision tomorrow, you would rob yourself of it. Because what most people don't realize is the value comes from the journey, not from the prize. And I still deal with that on myself. I think a lot of visionary entrepreneurs do that. They see this big vision and they want to have it tomorrow. But we can't hold the vision that we have in our head for 10 years from now, tomorrow. We don't have the character to be able to hold it. And if we did, we'd ruin it. So just relax, take your time, fail all the time. Don't worry about it. If you fail, make sure you learn from it, but the failure is not going to kill you. It's only going to build you if you let it. So just relax, fail as much as you can, and enjoy the journey.
Cool. That's great. I want to ask you, like, where do you see yourself in, a year, 2 years, 5 years? But I don't know if I even want to ask, because I think you're just enjoying the moment.
Yes, I had to. That is something that I have been learning, intentionally focused on for the last 5 months. It's what can I do today? Because I'm such a visionary, I've always focused on what's 5 years down the road, what's a year down the road. I've missed a lot of todays. And I think that whatever is going to be in 12 months from now is going to be a repercussion of me being very intentional with today. And John Maxwell talks about that all the time. He talks about, he's not a big goals guy. What he talks about is, am I a better version of myself today than I was yesterday? And I think when I'm all about vision and I'm all about understanding where you're going, because I don't believe that we should wander aimlessly. But I think there's so much focus on that often we do miss out on the beautiful experience of today.
Awesome, man. Well said. Last question before I let you go. I ask every guest. At the end of the day, you still have a lot of work to do. You still have a lot of tattoos to get. But at the end of the day, where do you want to take this? What do you want your legacy to be? What kind of mark do you want to leave on this earth?
It all comes down from, being a guy that struggled so badly with wanting to fit in, and wanting to be accepted, and wanting to, I struggled with rejection my whole life. I thought that being accepted was an indication of my value. And so my mark that I want to leave on everybody is, that we are human beings. And I said this before in this interview, and I will say it again a million times, but I want my mark to be that when people met me, they were reminded that they were as valuable as anybody else. My kids, I have 6 beautiful children, and I want them to realize that they don't need to work to be accepted. They don't need to work to be good enough. They don't need to work at being valuable, that they're already valuable, and that, just because somebody has $1 million in the bank doesn't mean they're any better than you if you're a school teacher. And I think when we can start helping other people see that, we will respond a lot differently to people. And that's what I want to be able to do with my life, is remind people that the value ladder, so to speak, the value playing field is even.
Awesome. Jesse Paul Smith, welcome to the American Real family. Thanks so much for your time. It was great to learn about you and your story. I can't wait to watch your career explode, because I know it's going to. And if people want to reach you, if they want to reach out, if they know someone who wants to get on the show, what's the best way for them to connect?
Yeah, you can find me on all the social media channels, Jesse Paul Smith, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, the whole works. Or, of course, you can connect with us in the show at worldwidedancechallenge.com, and we've got submission forms and everything on there. So.
Awesome. Well, thanks again. Appreciate your time.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning into American Real. Be sure to visit our website, americanreal.tv, or search for us on iTunes or YouTube for past episodes. While you're there, please rate us or leave us a review, as that helps others find our show. I am truly grateful and appreciate all of your support. If you'd like to be part of our inner circle or want one-on-one coaching, check out the American Real Learning Academy, where we have self-help groups and courses so you can build the best you. We also have a new Facebook group where you can connect with high achievers from around the world. If you want to go even further, maybe you're determined to write your own book or launch your own podcast, contact me today to see if we could help. You can reach me through Instagram or Facebook, or email me directly at roger@americanreal.tv. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.